It's an honor and privilege to introduce Sara Poe. Sara Poe and I have been friends for a little over 7 years. I met Sara at a networking group, and Sara is a very passionate individual about helping and serving people. Sara is a certified public accountant. Sara Poe founded Poe's Accounting Service to help clients understand and navigate their finances. With a natural aptitude for managing numbers, Sara simplifies her clients' financials and taxes, taking unnecessary anxiety and confusion out of the accounting process. Working with individuals, families, and business owners in the Lawrenceville, Dacula, and Brazelton area, Sara helps her clients take a step back and view the bigger picture of their financial standing with a broad understanding of the issues. She then narrows in on the fine details to address issues and implement efficient systems. And Sara and I have been partners and working together very closely for 7 years. And Sara is an amazing lady on accounting, taxes, especially with this COVID-19. Some of the things that Sara has shared with a group of people is phenomenal. And you guys are in for a real treat. So make sure you got pen and paper out. And without any further ado, Sara, my heart loves your heart. Welcome to our rebooting.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's good to be here. It's amazing all the information that is stored here. So this lighting is terrible. Every time I think I get it fixed, it looks worse. I'm going to have an engineer come and do the lighting next time. So I don't know how well you can see me. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay.
We can see you and hear you well.
Okay, good, good. Well, we started off just like any other year, right? We got around to the middle of February, you started hearing things, and then after St. Patrick's Day, they were telling you not to go anywhere, stay home. Within on March 27th, President Trump signed into law the CARES Act. I won't go into the real long name, but basically the CARES Act. And at that point, the CARES Act provided economic impact payments to American households, which most people know that as the $1,200 amount people got. And then the CARES Act had payroll protection. It had the economic industrial disaster loans and grants. So it got to be confusing. What all's out there? What can I do? Well, people like me spent the next 4 weeks trying to learn all these things to be able to help you and provide you with the information you need. There was CARES Act, there was PPP, there was EIDL, there was, now you could do some family planning, so that people could take off with their families. You had ways to hold back on the payroll taxes and not pay them right away, or you get a payroll tax credit. There was just so much information out there for all that. So you had to understand it. Then you had to get your clients to understand it and to know what was right for them. So you're having conversations with them. I had lots of conversations during that period. And the best way to help each one of my clients. Was it the PAU? Was it the PPP? Was it the EIDL? There were so many letters being slung around. Nobody really understood all the letters and what it could do for you. And that's the really sad part. I'm looking at right here at 6 pages of just explaining the CARES Act, right? And we know that in the big scheme of things, a lot of people missed out on these opportunities to be able to provide money for their company, to provide cash flow, and all those type of things. So what I want you to understand now, if you get nothing out of this, find somebody who you can talk to. Understand why you need to understand this stuff, why you need a P&L, why you need a balance sheet, why you need to understand your cash flow. Because if this stuff happens again, if we get in lockdown again, which I pray to God it does not happen, but we need to be prepared for any other extreme things that could happen, right? We need to be able to know are you eligible for the stimulus payment? Did you get it? If you did get it, why not? So that's the first thing you do. The next thing is, what about your retirement? Do you have to take retirement this year? If you don't have to, do you want to? And if you don't, how does that affect you long term? How many people have even thought about that? Because this year you're not required to take an RMD on your retirement. And that may be a good thing in the long run. So you won't be owing more money on different things, on taxes and whatever. So charitable contributions have gone down drastically in the last couple of years. Why is that? Because most people have learned that you cannot contribute to contributions like you used to since 18, when a lot of the laws changed. Well, they decided that they like when churches and people help other people. So they changed it to the first $300 that you contribute to a charity will now be on your front page of your tax return and is a write-off. Anything over 300 goes under your Schedule A. So that may help other people, other charities, it could help the homeless. It could help your church. It could help the mothers who need a place to live with babies who are just trying to get a hand up because they need one little thing. It can help with that. You can pay off employee student loans up to $5,250. I'd love it if one of my employers would have paid off some of my student loans. Here, they can take a write-off for that. There's things like that that can happen. The unemployment benefits went all the way up to $900. How many of you missed the $900 because you weren't in the right place to take that? Maybe because you are an unemployed person, but you're a subcontractor unemployed person. So there was a totally different route that you would have taken for that and could have gone up to $900. That could have made all the difference in the world. So I went with all my clients that came in here. We went through all these different topics. What should I've done? What should I've done? I had a guy in here today. We're still working on his unemployment, but he will get it. He may not have got it all during the time, but he'll get it all at one time. Small business loans, PPP, all those wonderful little things. Now there's employee retention credits. If you didn't get a PPP, you take the employee retention credit. Hey, that's what I did for my business. I'm getting it all year long instead of at one time. I'm not being begged to ask for forgiveness for that loan and may not get it, or I'm still waiting on Congress to tell me how's the best way to be forgiven for this loan. We still don't have all those answers, right? So it's another thing. You can do deferral of your Social Security taxes now. Is that something you want to do? If you tell people to defer things, okay, like I can defer my Social Security taxes, but I've got to pay it. Sometimes it's harder to come up with all that money at one time. It makes it much more difficult on people to do that. I typically I do payroll for clients, and typically I do their payroll taxes every Monday. You tell them they owe $600, it's much easier to tell them at the end of the quarter they owe $6,000. I've learned that the hard way. If you ask deferral on a loan or a car payment or any of that, you still have to pay all that up. You're better off to pay a little bit as you go, because that helps your cash flow, which is part of your balance sheet and your P&L. Because we need cash to be continually coming in, right? Because there's maybe another slow period where I need cash to pay my employees. So we're constantly looking at our cash flows, sorry. How many of you got any of the PPP, IDL grants, any of that kind of stuff? Anybody?
My daughter did for her business. It came about right as the time she was taking over a new business. So it actually behooved her to do that, to at least carry her through, at least with a partial loan for the time being, but at least she could open rock solid rather than trying to flounder. So.
Right, instead of having to worry where every penny was going to come from, right? It's nice to know that you've got a little little savings over here. What if you got it for a PPP, or if you got it from an EIDL, which is a loan that's 3.75 for paid over 30 years. Those are the things you need to be thinking about now. We don't want to wait to November and December, or it'll be too late, right? We need to make sure our financial statements are in order, so then we can look at our cash flow and what are we going to be doing for the next 4 months, because I can't believe next week's October already. But we need to think about that. You need to have a plan. If you don't have somebody, like I've got Celeste, right? I get to hear when I don't do things right, but I also get to hear when I do things wrong. She helps me think outside the box, right? If you, let's just say you are a virtual, or you plan meetings, right? And now you can't have meetings in person. What were you going to do? You had to think outside the box. Who are you sitting with? Who are the people that are helping you think outside the box? Who are the people that are help managing that stuff? Because we're one person. We can't do it all by ourselves. At least I can't. You know, I need the one person to yell at home because I feel like I'm a crazy woman and he's not going to get too mad at me, you know. But then we need a friend that we can call and say, oh my goodness, I just don't know what I'm doing, or I don't know how to get out of this. I had a tent rental company that all their tents got rented by the COVID people. Well, great. He just saved his year. But we need those ways to do that. And we can't always think about them ourselves. We don't always see everything in front of us. We need help from other people right here. So that's why you need to make sure you copy that chat, so you've got new contacts for different reasons. It may be just one simple question. For me, you call me or you text me and I answer that question and you get to move on. But you need your mentoring group. You need your people that you work with to help you get outside of that box. You need people like me to make sure you've got all the different grants and different things that you're entitled to and that you are getting. You know, you need to have those conversations with your insurance agent. You need to have that conversation with your marketing people. I need that yearly conversation with Deborah going, what am I doing wrong? You know, because we need that help, right? I need that slap up against the head from Celeste on occasion. It puts me back to where I need to be. And I can't do it without my team of people around me. I've got mentors that are in my field that I couldn't do things without. But so I'm hoping that all of you have those type of people who can help them. All right, so I've got kind of bogged down on the whole.
Sarah,
Yes.
Penny had asked a question in the chat.
Okay.
She asked, what determined which businesses were eligible or not?
Well, in the beginning, all businesses, whether if you were an independent contractor or a partnership, S Corp, LLC, all businesses were eligible. If you didn't present the paperwork the correct way as an independent contractor, a lot of those people got turned away because the paperwork was not done properly. Most businesses that had W-2 people got their money. But if you were an independent contractor, a lot of that paperwork was not done properly and got turned down. So in that whole scenario, what can we learn from that? Every S Corp owner should be getting a W-2. And unfortunately, half S Corp owners do not do that. So we need to learn from the mistakes of this time frame of what I can do better if these things happen again. I'm an LLC, so I'm not required as an owner to take a paycheck. So I take distributions. So I didn't lose out in that time frame, but I had to go about it as an independent contractor way. I got the money, but I knew what I was doing, right? You need that person to help you do that. I did it up for every single one of my clients for free. Why? I need them staying in business. A lot of professionals that I know help their clients out for free. And if you don't ask, you don't know. You need to have those relationships. You need to have those conversations. Did that answer that question? Who asked?
Penny, she said yes.
Oh, hey, Penny. Okay. So I talked a little bit about cash flow. So you should be cash flowing. You should be looking at your business and saying, how much cash am I going to need through the end of the year? And if January is a slow month, like it is for me, I do my cash flow through January, because then I know in February, taxes are starting to pick up and those type of things. I know my biggest spending month is December, personally, because it's Christmas. So I have to be able to pay myself enough money to get through those time periods. So now's the time you should be looking through all that to make sure that your business is going to have enough cash flow coming in to take care of all the expenses going out. There's different types of cash flow coming in. It could be from investments. It could be from customers. It could be different things like that. But in most QuickBooks, there is a cash flow chart that you can enter that stuff. If you're not sure how to do that, call your tax professional, call your bookkeeper. Another reason why to have a bookkeeper, they can help you with all this, right? This may be a good time to start a budget because you don't know what those numbers are. It's a perfect time to start a budget so that you can input that budget into your cash flow analysis. But we need to make sure that we've got enough money to be able to do that, because if we don't, then we need good financials so we can go to the bank and we can get a little money there to carry us through, right? Right. Or if the EIDL loan is still available, but we don't know for how much longer. If you haven't applied for that, maybe it's time to apply for that. But you got to have all those numbers in a row to be able to do that. Okay. Cash flow, well, cash is king, right? It's always been king. So we're looking at all of that. And we came out of last year and we owed money. But we didn't have the money because of COVID-19. We didn't want to spend our money because we were afraid, right? That we weren't sure what was going to happen down the road. So now we've got a bill to the IRS and to your Department of Revenue, whoever that might be, right? And you're looking at this year and you haven't made a single estimated payment. And that scared you because you know now there could be another bill next year that added to these two. So how are some of the ways we can settle that debt? Well, there's an installment agreement. And right now, if you need an installment agreement and it's under $250,000, there is no questions asked. There's no better time to do one than right now, because they're just taking it. They're not verifying the information that you give them. They're not checking to see if the numbers you're using are right. So you can get, I think it's up to 72 months for an installment agreement. Go to a tax professional, let them help you. You can do it online. Since there's not all this other paperwork that you typically have to do, now is the time. Go ahead and get it set up, because next year when you've got to add another $10,000 to $15,000, $20,000 to that installment agreement, it'll be much easier to do that, right? The next thing you can do is a partial payment installment agreement. You make a partial payment and then you do the rest in installments. Same type of deal. If it's under $250,000, they're not asking questions. They haven't even opened up the mail from May yet. So now is the time to do that. You could do an offer and compromise. If you don't really have any equity anywhere, or you don't have a way to pay that, and they're going to look at 6 years, more in an offer and compromise, you will have to prove all your numbers. Let's just say I needed to go through an offer and compromise. I just paid off my house. They're going to look at me and go, no. You can refinance that house to pay us because I've got equity there. So you have to look at the big picture and see what's going to be the best way for you. You can ask to be non-currently collectible. Look, I'm not going to have any money to pay you for 2 years, and you prove that to them, they'll put you in a non-currently collectible status. And then in 2 years, they look at that again. So that way, you're stopping all the notices, you're stopping the collection people, you're putting yourself in a much better position to be able to run your business and to make money to get out of that non-current collectible status. You could lower your debt with credit card or a debt settlement, right? You could file bankruptcy, right? There's a 7 and there's a 13. And depending on the type of bankruptcy you do, some IRS debt can come off from that. It just depends on what all is involved there. If you go through some of these steps and you've got garnishments going on, you may get those garnishments released. Wouldn't that be a relief to know that you don't have that money coming out to be able to sustain your lifestyle and to do everything else you can do? Some of these things will also stop the IRS from levying your bank account. Let's just say you had somebody's owed you $10,000, finally pay you, but if you're at that levy point, that money will be gone. And then you've got to fight with them for 21 days, and more than likely you're going to lose that. The IRS can find you anywhere. And then we need to looking at the expiration of the statute of limitations. If you've got an IRS debt that's over 10 years and they've never filed a lien on you, it's gone. You don't have to worry about it. It's out of the picture. So those are just some of the things there that you can think about to do. But again, you need to sit down with somebody who can do those type of things and they can help you, because we don't want you worrying about every little thing. We want you running your business and making money. We need to take some of that stress off from you to get to that place, right? Some of the impacts of the COVID-19. How many of you had to go virtual in 24 hours? I did. It was a nightmare. Shannon, help! It was not something that I was going to go virtual, and this just pushed me into that way. Then you've got clients who are not capable of doing that. We had clients drive up to the door. We would call them on their phone. We would answer the questions while they were in the car. Then we would take out their tax return. They would sign it, and then they would go home. They didn't understand Zoom. You've got older clients who just don't get that. So you've got to be flexible. You've got to understand what your clients' needs are and to be able to meet them. You've got to help them in whatever ways possible. I had a couple older clients that I knew their families. I'm going, your daughter knows you're coming here, right? Oh, no, don't tell her. But, we have to learn how to work with those to be flexible. Again, I've talked about knowing your cash flow. If you don't understand what that means is, I'm going to offer you a nice little gift at the end. Use that gift. Let's talk about that. Supply chains, depending if you've got supply chains. Like Deborah, her supply chain kind of slowed down. No fault to her. It just happened, right? So we have to think about all those things ahead of time. How's your brand handling this? You need to think about that. Again, there's social media people on here that can help you with all that. So those are just a lot of information to help you to run your business. I'm here to help that in any way I can. I've thrown a ton of stuff out there. If you got specific questions, you've got my email address in the chat. I would love to help you with that. I want everybody to succeed. And that's why I did all these things for my clients, my monthly clients, for free. And I want to make sure that everybody here can have that same opportunity. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you. That was fantastic. And I can guarantee there's lots of questions. If you guys want to unmute yourself, you have an opportunity now to ask Sara some questions and get those answered right away. If not, her contact information is in the chat. and her email and all that information is in there as well. But go ahead and unmute yourself. And who has a question?
This is Barbara. I just have a quick question. You were talking about getting a distribution from your business.
Yes.
What's the difference between doing a distribution and saying paying yourself from the business? Is it the same thing or totally different?
It's a different type of thing, right? So an S Corp and an LLC and a partnership, a lot of times they take distributions out of the earnings that the company has already made. They've already paid taxes on that distribution, right? So then you can pay yourself a salary so that you pay in some taxes along with estimated taxes, and you're paying tax on that part. So a good for me, let's just say I've got $100,000 in retained earnings. I can take up to $100,000 out of my company, and it's a non-taxable event because I've already paid the taxes on that through my personal return. Now, if I pay myself a W-2 earnings, I'm paying taxes on the money I'm receiving then, which is an expense on my P&L, which is, so in turn, that money comes out of my bottom line, and I'm just paying the tax on my personal return there. Does that make sense?
It does, and then it makes it more confusing.
I was afraid of that. So let's just say, like previous years, you've made $50,000. What type of entity are you?
LLC.
All right, so you're an LLC. Let's just say up through, you've done your taxes for 19, you made $50,000. You can take a distribution up to that $50,000 limit, and it's a non-taxable event.
So it's not a part of the P&L then.
No,
so
it's coming right off your balance
Right off
sheet.
the top.
it's coming
and-
right off the top.
Yes, it's right. It's coming right off your balance sheet.
Okay.
And that most things, I won't say everything, but most things that come there have already been taxed or waiting to be taxed when they go to your P&L.
Okay. I have to digest that. I have that. I'm sorry, my mind is analytical, so I'm like, I have to really think about it and know what it is. So thank you.
You're welcome. And I hope you give me a shout out sometime. And give me
Okay,
a
I
call.
will.
How about other questions? Anyone else have a question for Sarah?
I had a comment, and Sarah, you may already do this, so forgive me if you do this and I don't know about it. But while you were speaking, I was thinking about all the people that have lost their jobs, changed jobs, looking for jobs, becoming direct sales people, entrepreneurs, blah, blah, blah. I see this wonderful opportunity for you to talk about, I believe you called it entities. What kind of entity are you? Are you a LLC, a S Corp, a independent contractor? People new to this don't know what that is. They don't know how to apply for it, file for it. What does it mean? What are the advantages? Do you have that program yet? If not, do it.
Yes, yes, and I anybody who comes in new to my office, that is something we go through to make sure that you are doing the right entity for you, because as time changes, that could change. I started out as an LLC, and I never switched to an S Corp because in the beginning I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to provide myself a W-2, and that is one of the requirements as an S Corp. The IRS wants to see you pay yourself a reasonable salary. An LLC, I didn't have to do that. So those are questions that I have for a new client who comes in. Let's talk about this. Why did you start to do this? Are you in the middle of your business? You're at the end of your business. You're at the beginning of your business. All those things make a difference, right? You may be at the end of your lifetime of working. So you're trying to get that Social Security as high as possible. that entity may make a difference in what we do there, right?
Yeah.
So those are some of the things that I have conversations with my clients. At my yearly tax meeting, okay, I say, they come in and I say, so what's going on? They kind of look at me. I'm like, hey, just tell me what's going on in your life. You know, you don't realize the things that you might tell me that I can go, oh, that's a tax deduction. I had a lady who had, she had hair loss, but I didn't know that. And her husband goes, I wish we could take your wigs. I said, wigs? Why do you wear wigs? And she had a skin disease. All the hair on her body fell off. I said, you get a prescription from your doctor, we can take all those wigs as a deduction. But those are the type of things that we need to know as a tax professional so that we can do all, we can take every legitimate tax deduction that there is. Now, I will also ask you, are you planning on buying a house in the next 2 years? If that's a yes, then we're going to look at those tax deductions in a different way. You may want your income to be at a certain level. You may not take every tax deduction. But those are just some of the things that I do for my clients every year and every day. Anybody
Awesome.
else?
That's phenomenal. Any last questions for Sara?
You know, I do have a comment, as I just want to say that it doesn't cost to have a CPA, bookkeeper, accountant in your back pocket. It saves you money. And if you don't have a relationship where you are meeting with a CPA, accountant, a bookkeeper on a monthly, quarterly, or semi-annually basis, it's costing you money. You really need to invest in having that. That's one of the first things we talk about, is building the relationships with the CPA, because they're going to save you a lot of money. They're going to keep you safe. And at some point, you know, when you don't have a CPA or accountant, what's going to end up happening is you're going to dig a hole that's going to be so deep that's going to be hard to come out. True, Sarah?
True, and I've seen it happen.
Yes.
Yeah, because we'll have those conversations about, if you do have IRS debt, what's the best way to get rid of that? How do we do that? But that's part of my ongoing conversations. And I hope I didn't bore you too much in the deer in the headlights look, because some of my stuff can be kind of boring. I get that. And if you ever can't sleep at night, just pull up irs.gov and start reading. It'll put you right to sleep.
Sara, what was the gift that you were talking about?
So my gift to everyone is an hour free consultation. We can do it by Zoom. We can do it over the phone, however, you know, or you can come into the office. It depends on where you live and how that works. But I'd like to help each one of you. We can go through some of those questions, because I realize in this, you may not want to speak of your different things. It's a very personal thing. And people in my shoes, we tend to know the good, bad, and the ugly of different people. And don't worry about what you tell me. I probably have heard it before, or I've seen it before. I'd rather you be honest with me so that we can knock out whatever issue it is. And don't be embarrassed. It happens to everybody.